you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter.
Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
Well, buddy boy, I want you to get excited here.
With the first pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield.
Okay, listen up, people. I'm going to turn you clowns into a football team.
To the best fans, the most patient fans in the league, the Browns are going to win.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Well, hello there. Why did your audio go away all of a sudden? We were just talking to you. Did you mute yourself, Mike? Hello? Hello? You there now? Oh, now I heard you.
You got me now?
Yeah, there you are. What'd you do?
Hey, there we go. All right, it's funny, too, because I've been told that we worked out all of our problems and all of our issues, and immediately we start off with a problem. That's very, very us. But I understand that you called IT and you called engineering and you got everybody involved. You rattled some chains, you threw some batteries at people, and you got things taken care of.
Listen, I'm telling you, if you walk into someone's office with a cricket bat and slap it on their desk, things get done, man. Things start happening.
No, I appreciate that approach. I like it, and that's pretty much what the Browns did yesterday. They walked with a big stick, and they were waving it around violently, and kicking ass and taking names is what they were doing.
That's what they were doing.
Kevin, we're here. We're another Victory Monday, and not just a regular Victory Monday.
Not just any Victory Monday.
This is a historic Victory Monday.
On many levels.
Yes, on many levels, and I'm just excited over the fact that this is our 9th Victory Monday. Usually for the Browns, this is something that you have to stretch over
a couple seasons.
3 or 4 years to get to that 9-win total, and we've done it in one season. So I know for me, obviously I'm excited about it. I know everybody in the city of Cleveland is excited about it. The biggest thing that stands out to me was before this game, there was so much talk from so many different people to, national, even in Cleveland amongst Browns fans, and that this was the game. This was the one that was really going to kind of establish whether or not the Browns were for real. Are they a contender? Have they just been feasting on, these, as I referred to them last?
Your mic went away again. I don't know what sort of nonsense you're dealing with over there, but if you could go ahead and plug that in and maybe keep it plugged in.
Do you have me again?
You're in and out.
You should have me.
Yeah. It sounds like you got like a loose wire.
Oh, well, I'll try to not touch anything. As long as you have me now, that's good.
Yeah, I've got you now. But now don't touch anything. No touchy.
No, again, as I was saying, though, it was really just to determine whether or not the Cleveland Browns were a legitimate team here, a legitimate threat. Like I said, were we feasting on, as I called them last week, the little sisters of the poor, other teams in the NFL that are just not good at all. And this really, it established everything. I know for me, there are still some people in the league that are like, I don't know. I'll be honest. Most people are giving us what we deserve. They're giving us that respect. They're giving us hey, the Browns are for real now. Like you can't ignore them anymore. Yeah. We've got the 3rd best record in the AFC. I don't understand it. It doesn't matter what your schedule was or who you're playing. Kevin, just before this show today, we were talking again, discussing the Steelers, who are up 14-3 at the half, by the way. Boo on them. But once again, it's the Browns were viewed as very, very, very skeptically. It was,
yes.
They're 8-3, but are they really that good? And they've had such a cakewalk schedule. And then conversely, the Steelers are 11-0, and everybody's like, oh, they're the greatest team in the history of the NFL, and we have the same schedule.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. Again, I'm not poo-pooing the Steelers. I don't want to take anything away from them. They've done what they've done. They've won every game that was on their schedule. You can't take anything away from them, and I'm not going to. But again, it was a respect factor. And I think for me, now the Browns finally got it. We beat a division winner. We beat a playoff team. Mm-hmm. We beat a team that was in the playoffs last year and went in and upset a 13-3 Baltimore team. Like, this was a legitimate win for the Browns, and it was another legitimate win for them. You've got to take them serious. Yeah, and they did it on the road as well. So you take all of that together, you factor all of those things in, and you have to respect what the Browns did, and you have to respect who they are now too. And I understand that it was a close game. You look at that final box score and you're like, oh, they won by less than a touchdown. But I think everybody watching that game knows that that's not what happened at all, because that was a beating. No. We went in there and we laid the wood. It was 38-7 at the half, and when you do that too, I know that Tennessee was absolutely shell-shocked. They did not know what hit them. They were not expecting that game to go that way. They did not expect us to come out like that and do them the way that we did them. And the whole charge was led by Baker Mayfield. I mean, he went into that game. He looked like Mike Tyson in his prime, just laying haymakers all over the place. And that shocked the Titans. I know it did. They were completely blown away. They didn't know what to do. They were twisted all the way around, and you could just tell they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to deal with it. To their credit, they did get things together in the second half, and I'll talk about the second half in a little bit, because there was, a lot of people in Cleveland were worried, like, oh, we're going to blow this game. I was talking to a lot of people, texting with a lot of people, and they're like, oh, here we go. I'm going to point out that there was a series. It was Lemony Snicket, because it was a series of unfortunate events that just kept taking place to let Tennessee get back into that game. It's not like the Browns just let up and blew it. They did have some lapses, obviously.
What some people would refer to as Clevelanding.
Right. They almost did, but we've seen, and we've talked about this, Kevin, so many times. This is a game that's usually a thing where the Browns would let it go. They would collapse, and this team didn't. Once again, they were able to come together and sneak it out in a historic fashion. Baker Mayfield, Kevin, like I said, he was the guy who led this charge. That's a franchise historic, record-setting half of football that Baker Mayfield put out. I mean, for first time since 1954, I think it was 54, 51, Otto Graham to throw 4 touchdowns in the first half of a football game. That's the Wayback Machine.
He was the last one to do it. Yeah, that's an impress. When you start going that far back in a team's record book, you're doing something.
Yeah, I don't even know. Did Otto Graham even have a face mask on his helmet? I mean, that's how long ago.
Was the forward pass even legal then?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, obviously it was legal then, Kevin, because he had 4 of them. Come on.
When the jokes just fly right past you.
Well, they go over the head, man, which is kind of hard for me because it's so big. But it really was a sight to see. And here's the other thing too. So far in the NFL this year, Baker Mayfield is the only quarterback to throw for 4 touchdowns in one half, and he's done it twice now.
Yes.
This is the second time this year that he's done it. And I'm going to reference this because he did it against Cincinnati in the second half. That's when he had the 21 straight completions and 5 touchdowns in the second half. He just went off the chain. And it was in that game that I really started to call out all the people that were bashing Baker Mayfield, the Baker haters, the people who were, and I was screaming about it then. Well, it was only the Bengals. It was just the Bengals. Let me see him do it against a real team. Let me see him do it against somebody that's important. Let me see him do it against. And now he just did it.
Yeah.
And he did it. He delivered. I mean, he went 25 of 33 for 334 yards and 4 touchdowns, and almost all of that came in one half. Like, at this point, I don't know what people want to see from Baker Mayfield. He's done it against good teams. He's done it against bad teams. He's been. I know people want to see more consistency from him, and he did have that stretch in there, those 3 games where it was kind of rough. But again, weather had a lot to do with it. I know people don't want to hear that, but you have to take that into consideration. When you've got 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts and it's raining, sorry, you're not going to be able to throw the football very well. It's just not something that's conducive to a winning game plan, and we had to rely on other areas of our game, and we did. Kevin Stefanski talked about that too in the pregame, meeting with the media, talking about how he was catering things, around the team and kind of going away from Baker Mayfield because we had to, because of those weather conditions, because we had to play it safe and we had to veer from our game plan, and it was what it was. Kevin, after that Cincinnati game, you and I talked a lot, and you were the one who pointed out, hey, look, it's good to know that you have that Baker Mayfield who is capable of playing to that level, because we were discussing all of the other playmakers that we have, the Nick Chubbs and, the Jarvis Landrys, these guys who can come out and do all of those things, and you don't necessarily have to rely on Baker, but when you need to and you put the game plan towards him, it's good to know that you have him able to do that. Yep. Yeah. And today was another perfect example of exactly that. In his last 6 games, Baker Mayfield has completed 64% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, and thrown for 1,300 yards. And that's with 3 games where the football was effectively taken out of his hand by the weather. I don't know what more people want. He hasn't thrown an interception in 5 weeks, and that was the biggest poo-poo that everybody had at the beginning of the year, why everybody was down on him, and the bashing and the hate. Oh, all he does is turn the ball over. He throws interceptions, and he did have a couple of bad ones. He threw a couple pick sixes. He's thrown 7 interceptions all year. We only have 4 games left in this season. He's got 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. What more do people want? I don't know what I can do or scream about to get people to come around to it, other than the fact that it's what you and I have talked about repeatedly. People are just going to have to accept the fact that Baker Mayfield is always going to have these wild swings, and he's just going to be that type of player. That's what's going to happen. He's going to come out sometimes, and he is going to be molten lava hot. And then there's going to be plays where you're like, dude, what are you doing? It's gonna happen. Right. Accept it. Move on. I mean, I don't mind it. I love it. I love his attitude. I love he's clearly the leader of this football team, and he has the respect of everybody on this team. And to me, I don't care if the fans are behind him. The team is what is most important. If the team questions him as a leader, if you're looking at a situation like Philadelphia right now, where Carson Wentz just got bent. It's a rough go for him. He's having a terrible season right now.
Green Bay feasted on him yesterday.
Yeah, and
it was bad.
I talked about it this year. More than anything, I really do feel bad for Carson Wentz, because you can tell that man is mentally broken. He is. He's broken. He's beaten down. He's second-guessing himself. When you're getting killed like that, though, that's what happens. You start developing bad habits. Your internal clock, the way that you act in the pocket, is completely destroyed, and it's gotten to him. He's a broken quarterback.
Those back-to-back sacks yesterday, you could tell he's just like, just put me on the bus. I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to finish this game.
And it's not just the mentality either. It's also the fact that you can see the team doesn't believe him anymore. Exactly. The players around him don't believe in him anymore. And that's when it's the kiss of death. It's one thing for the fans to not want you or be booing you or constantly criticizing you, but when your team is basically on the same page as all of the fans, that's when you have a problem. And it's never been like that for Baker. Even though people have been on him all year and giving him a hard time and still coming at him with all of these criticisms, everybody in that locker room, everybody on that team and on that offense has been completely behind him 100%. And you can see that coming out every single week, and that's what I love, and that's why I don't get bothered by it. I'm like, all right, look, I'm behind Baker. I'm in his corner. He has all of the talent. He can make all of the throws. He can make all of the reads. He can be patient in the pocket. Every single criticism that people have had about Baker Mayfield this year are completely gone. He's dispelled all of that. there isn't one criticism that holds any water now. The only one that's remaining that I will give credence to is consistency. People want to see consistency. But I think that sometimes that's a little bit too much. People want too much. They want to see somebody, they want to see him go out and throw for 350 yards or 4 touchdowns every week. That's unrealistic. I don't care what he does as long as we're winning. And that's what we have been doing. Even those ugly games, that ugly stretch, the only bad one was that Las Vegas Raiders game, which, that's one of those games that you look at and you're like, that one got away from us. Every team has one of those games where it's like, listen, we got our asses kicked by Baltimore. We got our asses kicked by the Steelers. That's all there is to say it. The Raiders game it got away from us. That's all you can say about it. And it's just, we laid an egg. It happens. And you move on.
This though, I don't have obviously in front of me game by game comparisons, but the feeling I get is that he's been much more consistent this year than last year. And I think people still look at him as being wild and all over the place, but show someone his stat line without his name attached to it and ask if they want him starting for their team,
Right, absolutely. And again, I think the biggest frustration and the biggest knock on him was the interceptions, the turnovers. He had 14 his rookie year. You're like, all right, he's a rookie, that happens. But then he threw 21 picks last year. And we had a bad year. It was disappointing. And then he started off this year throwing it to the other team. And everybody's like, oh, this guy, man.
Here we go again.
And I tried to preach the patience. I tried to tell people realistically, look, he's got the talent, he's got the ability, he can get this done. Have a little bit of faith and a little bit of patience with him. And now he's got 7 picks. I mean, that's good. There are a lot of quarterbacks in this league that have more turnovers, more interceptions than Baker Mayfield. I think turnover-wise, he's got a few more because he's got a few fumbles there. He just had, the fumble Rooski yesterday. But yeah, I mean, Kevin, that's what I'm seeing, and it's great to see this because he's not. People were like, "Dude, I need to see it. Let's see him do it again after that Cincy game." Well, now he's done it again. You know that you can count on him. You know that he's there. You know that he's the leader, and that's this team. It's just more growth. We've been talking about it and seeing it all year. This team slowly growing and coming together and becoming a solid unit and a solid threat in the AFC. Now I'm to the point where I'm confident. I'm confident in saying the Browns are a legitimate football team. The Browns are a threat. The Browns are a contender. Do I think that the Browns are a Super Bowl team? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm certainly not. I think there's some holes and some things I think that are going to prevent us from making that kind of a run.
Right.
But the Cleveland Browns are a playoff team. We are going to end this playoff drought this year.
Oops. Did you bump something again? Hello? McFly? Hello? Hello, McFly? Hello? You got nothing? I like the way that you're still talking as if I can hear what you're saying, because that's funny. While he fumbles with chords on his end, I think one of the things that Mike was getting at here was the fact that Baker is certainly announcing to at least the AFC North, the doctor will see you now. Dr. Mayfield will see you. This was, I think, a stroke of genius. I can't take all the credit for this one. Mike did come out with the general idea behind that. But nonetheless, that is where today's episode show name came from. And no, we still don't have you at all. So gonna need some tech support over it. See, this is what happens. I lay down the cricket bat on IT's desk, and then you just go off and, don't. You need to get the hamsters spinning in the wheel to, no, this is gonna work great. This is gonna work tremendously. I'm sure of it.
I've got
Okay.
So I don't know. I really don't know what to say or what to think. Because I've got everything.
Let me just for giggles try something here.
Standing by everybody. More technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
We try to get through this here. Yeah, I don't know. It seems weird that it would just go out.
How about now?
Check one, two.
Nope, that's still not working. I just added a brand new audio capture, and it's still not there. This is weird, because it was working with no problems before the show.
Yeah, and I literally have nothing right now. Well, I guess I'm kind of at a loss what we should try, because like I said, I've got audio on the camera. I'm checking my computer
on Skype, and I see...
Oh, there you are again.
You got me?
Yeah, it's weird. I just changed your input to something else and changed it back, and now it's there.
Oh. So I am back, though?
As of now.
Oh.
That's really strange, though. Let me go to your camera. You still there?
I'm still here, yeah, if you got me.
Okay, and let's go back.
Going back.
And you're still there.
All right.
What happens if we go here? If we go to my camera, are you here? You're not here. That's interesting. But if I come back here, see, and then you're gone again. But I bet if I go in and I change this again, this is wild. This is really interesting. And then go back to this. How about now?
How about now? You
Yep,
got me
and
now?
there you are again. Yeah, so I know how to fix it. I don't know why it's a problem.
All right, well, maybe we'll just... Thanks for sticking with us here for the moment, people, and walking through these issues. I have no idea why that was happening, but nonetheless...
If you use
maybe we'll just
Streamlabs and have any clue how to use it, please reach out. You can reach me... Hold on. How am I going to do this?
You're gonna need to do, Kevin, you're going to have to get that cricket stick.
Yeah.
And, and go back and...
Whap some more people around, apparently.
Nonetheless, though... We've got
Moving
things
on.
working here again.
Did you see my wonderful graphic, though? Oh, see, and this doesn't have it either. Well, this is going to be fun. So I'm gonna let you just keep staring at this for a minute while I do my magic over here and change that.
Hear me now, Kevin?
Change it back. Now I've got you again. Yeah, I think every time I go to one of these new graphics, we're going to have to play a little trick where you don't get to talk for half a second.
Oh my! Well, I'll just do a quick pause and like it. But no, the graphic is great too because I texted you just because of the game that he was having, you know. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's putting on a clinic, and I'm like, that's Baker Mayfield. I'm like, that's his new nickname. His new nickname is the Cleveland Clinic. That's Baker.
Dr. Mayfield, we'll see you now.
I digress. That's my take on Baker for the whole game there, and I think that's where we were at before we had some more technical snafus. I think we were still talking about Baker Mayfield, but once again, I just it makes me just confident going forward with this team. Now, again, I think that's where I was at too, saying we're not a Super Bowl caliber team, but we are a playoff team, and again, that's so huge for this franchise. It's huge for this fan base. Like, we need this. I can't think of one singular fan base in all of the NFL that needs a playoff game more than Cleveland. Maybe Detroit. I mean, they're up there suffering too. But to getting to the playoffs, we haven't been to the playoffs since 2002, Kevin. That's 18 years ago, man. That's just insane. And again,
it's been a minute.
A playoff win for this team would be just absolutely amazing, and would really set the tone going forward into the future. Again, I know that we have 4 games left still, and anything can happen. But now this gives us a lot of confidence too. We're going into this Baltimore game now next week, Kevin, and you start to really think to yourself with the way that they're reeling. And
teams headed in opposite directions.
Really, I mean, and you look at that game now that we played against them at the beginning of the year, and you're like, we're two different football teams right now, because all the confidence is with us and all the momentum is with us, and it's away from them in both of those categories. So you feel good, and we're playing them at home too on Monday night. I mean, this is really another stage where you're kind of licking your chops if you're the Browns. You want this game, you want to play this game, and you want to go out there and lay the wood again. And then you're looking at two more pastries coming up that you can feast on, and the Jets and the Giants. So the Browns have the opportunity to really go out here and say, whoa, are we talking a possible 13-3, 12-4 season for the Cleveland Browns? It's certainly on the table. We got 4 games left. We already have a winning season. We haven't locked up that playoff spot. I think we're percentage-wise. I've seen a couple different shows. I was watching the ESPN and the ESPN. I was watching ESPN and NFL Network, and we're at like that 92-93% for making the playoffs. We can't clinch next week. There's still some scenarios where crazy math involved. But if the Browns go out and win next week, it's all but a lock. I think we're at like 99%. And then it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at that point. But the biggest takeaway from it is the Cleveland Browns are in the driver's seat right now. They control their own destiny, and you're not in a situation either where these games start becoming, the proverbial the must-win game. We're not in that situation. No. Theoretically, we could go lose a couple of games, and it's still not going to, devastate us or knock us out of this thing. We would really have to, we'd have to lose out to not make the playoffs at this point. And with this team, and it's possible. Certainly, I've seen crazier things. But I just don't see it with this team. Not with the level of confidence they have, or going forward. They're just not gonna let that happen. But Kevin, let's do a little. What do you want to do? I'll let you pick. You want to do some good, bad, and ugly? You want to do some doghouse, dog bones?
While we're on the subject, we'll take a quick look at their schedule here. I'll adjust your mic so that we can also hear you. But while I do that, I wanted to point out my favorite Baker moment from yesterday's game was absolutely after that Hollywood Higgins touchdown, and he's strutting the back line of the end zone like it's a catwalk, and Baker just comes sliding in to take the pictures.
With the camera, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. We should try to get that up on maybe I'll try to get that up on a tweet too later. I forget to put things up after on the show, but there's a great angle of it, like directly on the goal line.
End line.
And it's amazing to see Baker just come flying in during the strut. So, these are our final 4 games here, Kevin.
Realistically, I feel like worst case you go 2-2 in these games. Worst case.
Yeah. And I just don't. The Giants, I know that they just shocked the world on at least the entire league. I don't know about the world. Might be a little hyperbole there, but they definitely shook the entire NFL by beating Seattle. Nobody saw them beating the Seahawks yesterday.
True.
I don't even know how they pulled that off, but they did. So whatever. It happened. Good for them. But they're still not a good football team at all. The Jets are an abysmal team. On a note with that too, with the Jets, it was good to see Greg Williams get fired. Because he's a terrible defensive coordinator. I was excited. He used to be the defensive coordinator for the Browns a couple years ago, Kevin. I was excited when the Browns got Greg Williams. I thought that he brought legitimacy to our defense. I was happy about him.
Yep.
And then I realized very, very quickly that he was a terrible defensive coordinator. And a fun fact for Greg Williams, he was our defensive coordinator when we went 0-16.
Ooh.
And he is now on a Jets team that is 0-12, and it's very largely due to his ineptitude. He was fired, so he's not going to get to see that through. But if the Jets do finish 0-16 this year, he's going to be tied to 2 0-16 teams. So good for him. Couldn't happen to a greater, more arrogant piece of garbage person. So I'm glad to see that that blew up in his face. What a terrible call on defense. You're going to go cover 0 on a Hail Mary pass? You rush 8? You idiot. I've never seen something so abysmal than that call. So yeah, we got to play the Jets. We should be able to get by them easily. That last game of the year, Kevin, that Steelers game, that's what I'd like to see. I put this up, I threw it out there on Facebook yesterday and a few other places. I'd love to see the Steelers drop a couple, just to make that last game worthwhile for us. I'd like to see, that last game possibly come down to the division. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think the Steelers have a couple of tough games coming up. They're playing Washington right now, but I do believe they still have to play the Titans. I think they have to play the Titans and the Colts in the next 2 weeks after this. So they're going to go Titans, Colts, us. So they do have a little bit of a
stretch, yeah.
Do I think that the Steelers are going to drop 3 straight games?
No.
No, I don't. I just don't see that. So it's probably a pipe dream on my part. But it would be cool, just to potentially see the Browns-Steelers game meaning something. Oh, a big burp there. Sorry.
Well done.
But
I'm glad the mic was working for that.
Yeah, but otherwise, no, I just don't think that last game is going to mean really anything to anybody at that point. The Browns have the 5th seed right now with the 3rd best record in the AFC. We're the 5th seed because the other 2 are division winners. We can't jump them, just by that's the way that it is. So, so I don't think it's going to really matter as far as seeding goes. We should have that 5th seed locked up. Pittsburgh is going to be where they are, unless they do some unless they drop a game and now they're jockeying with the Chiefs. So things still could play out. We still got a quarter of the season left. You never know what's going to happen. And especially with, there's the COVID situation and all this. So who knows? But just going on what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing, that game's probably going to be meaningless for both of the teams. So who knows if anybody's really going to care. But still, looking ahead, the Browns are looking at a solid, 11, 12-win season here. And I don't even know what to think about that other than pure unfiltered joy and excitement
I did
all
yourself.
the way around.
I don't need to know.
Yeah. Now, Kevin,
go ahead.
No, please. You go ahead.
I was just going to jump us to Top Dog and Doghouse. And while I do that, social media Jessica wanted me to let you know that maybe you should every once in a while, pay attention to our Twitter stream, because she tweeted that GIF a while ago of the Baker celebration.
Oh, I didn't even realize. But she does it during the show.
Oh,
man.
God. Oh, geez. I wasn't. No. Yeah, you weren't paying attention. It was.
I'm not. I don't read it during the show.
I do.
Oh. I don't. And listen, I was probably drinking excessively yesterday and stuff. You know how it goes, Kevin.
Okay.
Listen, Here's our top dogs. Baker, obviously, I just explained all the reasons why Baker. I'm putting Donovan Peoples-Jones on the top dogs thing because he had himself a ball game. I'm going to forgive the touchdown pass that he dropped that he should have had on that opening drive that would have given Baker another nickel and a half. But he had to settle for 4 because of that drop. He should have been arrested for assault because he broke that man's ankles on that 75-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, he did.
He went Kathy Bates on that dude. Those were shattered femurs. It was disgusting, the move that he put on him. So that alone gets him put on this list. Plus he caught the ball. And then the defensive line. I had just the entire D-line stepping up. It was great to see Myles Garrett back. He got himself another sack, and you could see that he was still a little bit winded after missing the last couple weeks there. But it was good just all the way around. They were getting pressure. They were making things happen. But more than anything, they shut down Derrick Henry. And that
Derrick Henry basically didn't play.
Tax.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
It was impressive.
They forced a fumble, and Derrick Henry never, ever, ever, ever fumbles. So they got a strip on him, and obviously the game kind of took Derrick Henry out of it, being the way that we came out and got up 31 points. But still, they stepped up and they did a great job against him. The doghouse, the refs are first dairy again because they were really the ones who were victimized and let Tennessee back in this game. And I'm putting the Baker haters in there. Because it's time for everybody to shut up. Like I said, if you were anti-Baker, now is the time for you to shut your mouth. It's just time to end it and realize, hey, I was wrong, and I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to root for my quarterback. I'm going to root for my team. I'm going to believe in him and believe that he's going to get things done for us. So that's where I'm at. The rest we'll get at in a second too, because they're part of the ugly.
Yeah. So we'll jump to the good instead, and Baker haters have replaced the Island of Misfit Toys as the welcome sign to the doghouse. So and we
in
should
every
have your
way
audio
there.
again. There you are. Hooray! Here is the good.
Look at the way that we're doing things. We're making things happen on the fly. This is great. Again, historic first half for Baker. We talked about it. It was just magical, and he was throwing all. That's the other thing too. It's not like he was just throwing, it's the passes that he was making. He threw to 9 different receivers. He was throwing darts. He was throwing short passes. He was throwing long passes. He was throwing 75-yard touchdown passes. He was rolling. He was in the pocket. Every single type of throw that you could think of that you want to see a quarterback make, Baker Mayfield made, and he did it with authority. He was driving the ball. This completely silences all the critics again. And the last good point, third best record in the AFC, which for week 13 in the NFL for the Browns is not something we're used to.
Not at all. As we jump over to the bad, I will point out my favorite part of the game was when the play-by-play announcer, in an attempt to I guess keep it real with the kids, said that Baker was out there dropping dimes. It's like, oh, okay, that's not something I've heard in a while, but no, go ahead.
Thousands and thousands of times, but listen, we did almost squander this lead, and I'll talk about this in a second. The one thing that really stood out to me, though, was the penalties. We had 14 penalties in this game.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been very, very out of character for this team. We came out in that second half flat, and there were a lot of things that happened there. But the penalties is the one that really stood out to me, because more than anything, especially on offense too, and we saw this a lot from this team last year, penalties kill drives. They just do, especially those. But you get a holding call, you're in a bad way, because nobody wants to start off 1st and 20 or 2nd and 21 or whatever it is, and the Browns did that. And there were a lot of just sloppy. There was a lot of sloppy penalties in this game, and that was shocking to me, because it's just something that we have not seen from this team all year. Kevin, we've actually talked numerous times about how they've avoided those penalties and how they've avoided that type of play. So it was a little bit of a bugaboo in this game. Hopefully that goes away. I think that the refs were making some calls, not that I didn't like. I'll just say that. I didn't like some of the calls. There were some
not
real
good calls.
Not good calls. There were some ticky-tack calls, but I want people – I'm going to talk about the second half real quick here, just because I really kind of want people to understand there was a lot of things all the way. It wasn't just, it was bad play. There was a lot of real freaky, fluky things that took place that you just usually don't see in a football game, let alone like in a row, to allow a team to come back like that. We got a 31-7 to leave at half. We come out, Tennessee gets the ball, and you know that they're going to try to score quick, and that's exactly what they did. Once again, Andrew Sandejo was horrifically out of position on the first touchdown. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing. Once again, and he is the Achilles heel of this team. I'm holding him personally responsible for that first touchdown in the second half that Tennessee came out and got. It was atrocious defense on his part, and
so at that
we get
point,
burned.
I had kind of I tuned out a little bit at that point, because the game was pretty well in hand. Yeah. And so I missed the actual touchdown live, but I saw the replay of it right afterwards, and I just remember it was right at the end of the play as they slow it down, and you just see him go flying across the screen, and I'm like, I know what happened here.
You watch that play, and I'm like, dude, what are you looking at? What are you seeing? What are you reading? If he was a baby turtle, he would never make it to the ocean because his instincts are awful. He would crawl up on the beach and get killed. He would try to be going over a dune. Like, that's not even where the water is, bro. You're going the wrong way. He would be murdered. But he did, so he gives up that touchdown. And this is where the Browns really, this is where things started to go off the rails for them. Because you're like, all right, whatever, they got to score, no big deal. Start running the ball, do what you do, start burning this clock, start grinding, all of this, and immediately we call for holding.
Yep.
And again, that kills you. That kills your drive. We start out, we're 1st and 20, we wound up going 3 and out, and we got a punt for the first time. Now, Tennessee starts coming down the field again, and the Browns defense finally steps up. Tennessee throws a pass, Tannehill throws a nice pass. We step up, we strip the football, force a fumble, but miraculously one of their players picks up the fumble and flies into the end zone.
Right.
Like, in that play, our defense did everything right that they possibly could have. They prevented the touchdown, they stripped the football, they get it out, they create the turnover, but the turnover winds up going to that. And it's such a fluke play. You're like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me on this one. The Browns then come back. We get a field goal, and you're like, all right, we're back up again. It's 41-21. Tennessee makes it's 4th and 4. They get a call that they probably shouldn't have got because they completed a pass that I'm like, was that really a catch? This is kind of what had me thinking that the refs are really kind of pulling for the Titans here on this one because they kind of gave them a gift. It wound up not working out because we wound up getting a pick anyway on that drive. But it leads to nothing. We punt. Next drive, Tennessee gets the ball. Interception. Once again, the Browns get a turnover, and it's annulled because of another defensive penalty. Mm-hmm. What I felt was kind of a ticky-tack penalty. And again, the Browns...
Pastor Sean in the chat pointed out that it was ridiculous. He called it a ridiculous penalty.
It really was a ridiculous penalty. And now you're at that point, you're thinking, if you're a Browns fan, you're like, all right, that's 2 turnovers now that we have forced as a defense that we don't get to keep. These are game-changing things. I said before the game, turnovers were going to be the defining factor in this game. And it wound up being the case. We won that turnover battle. I said whoever won the turnover battle was going to win the game. And we did. We won the turnover battle. But we should have won it by a lot more. Yeah. There's no way you negate a play like that on a ticky-tack call, but they did. And then, of course, it leads to, they score. We get the ball back. The game's running out. And then Baker fumbles. And again, you're looking at the replay of this thing, and he looked pretty down to me. At least nothing that can be definitive. Right. That's the thing when it comes to these calls, too. People, we always hear this. There has to be overwhelming evidence to overturn a call. Overwhelming. And I didn't see anything overwhelming. And, of course, not only does he fumble when we're, basically in a victory formation, but then Tennessee picks it up and runs it back 40 yards. Kareem Hunt's got to chase the guy down, and you're like, wait a minute, what the hell is happening here? What is going on? And along with the refs, while I'm ranting and I put him in the ugly and I put him in the doghouse, how many times is Myles Garrett going to get held? He had 2-3 different times where the offensive lineman – has his helmet. He's got his hands inside his face mask, shoving his helmet, damn near decapitating the man, and it's happening right in front of the refs. And refs like, I don't see nothing. That's fair. That looks fair to me. It was infuriating to see it, and it's infuriating to see how many times he is held. He is held all the time, and nobody's calling it. And listen, the reason that he's held is because you can't stop him. He is that powerful and that good. And listen, if you can't stop him, that's too bad. That's your problem. The refs need to start calling that. And they should have called it, and that would have backed up more drives on Tennessee. But all of these factors and all of these things happening is what led to that comeback. I won't even call it a comeback.
It wasn't a comeback.
it was a series of events that let the score become closer than what it actually was. It wasn't a collapse by the defense. It wasn't Tennessee overwhelmingly taking it to us. It was just this happened, and that happened, and that happened. Free play and free play and free play. And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And luckily, though, they scored. And onside kick, we get the ball, and it's game over then. Pastor Sean, I know you just mentioned him in the chat. Pastor Sean was freaking out, man. He was texting me. He's like, I'm drinking, man. He's showing me the Great Lakes. He's got Great Lakes Christmas sale going on. He's like, I can't deal with this. My nerves, man. I can't do it. And I was like, look, I'm trying to be the voice of reason for him. Like, look, we got this. And I'm like, oh shit, man. I don't know. Maybe we don't got this. Maybe he's right. So it was just a really freakish second half. So just build on that. I think that the Browns can, you can't hang your head on that situation because you're just really not going to see that very often. But to wrap up that thought, when we're talking about the Browns, whether or not they're a playoff team, are they a Super Bowl team? That's the reason why I don't think that you can't have a realistic conversation about the Browns being a Super Bowl team, because we can hang offensively with any team in the league. We can play with anybody. Mm-hmm. Anybody. Offensively, this team is as good as any other team in the NFL offensively. We can hang with Pittsburgh offensively. We can hang with Kansas City offensively. We can hang with anybody. Any team in the NFL, we can go toe-to-toe with offense versus offense. But our secondary is a problem. It's just bad. And you can't have that on your team. You can't have a glaring weakness like that and expect to excel. Can they? They could overcome it. You can have a good game, but we're still missing Ward. We're still the players that we have back there. We got practice squad guys back there, and it shows. And the Browns, the only way that you can combat that is to try to keep playing that aggressive offense, grind it out, and keep doing what you build up a lead like we did, and then hopefully you can lean on your guys in the fourth quarter, Chubb and Hunt. Kevin, there was a guy who played basketball for the Cleveland Cavaliers a number of years ago. His name was Sasha Pavlovich.
I thought you were going to say LeBron James for a second.
No, obviously. No, there was a guy named Sasha Pavlovich, and he was an offensive threat. He was a pretty good offensive player, but he couldn't guard a chair. He was the most awful defensive player. And one day in the game, they asked him about it. They said, what about your defense? They questioned his defense, and his answer was, "My offense is my defense." And that quote didn't go over very well with people in Cleveland, and they brought it up mercilessly against him for the rest of his time in Cleveland. But I bring that up to say that's kind of how the Cleveland Browns are going to have to attack playing defense. Their offense is going to have to be their defense, because you're going to need our offense to keep the other team's offense off the field. That's how we're going to have to do this, because when the other team's offense is on the field, they're a threat to score on any play. It doesn't matter. We made Mike Glennon look like an NFL quarterback, and he is a bum. That's how bad that secondary is, and it's an Achilles heel, and you just can't be that bad in one particular area, especially in today's NFL, where it's a quarterback-driven league, and everybody is all about speed, and those receivers are out there, and these guys know how to pick you apart. You get into the playoffs, and you start talking about playing against a Patrick Mahomes or a Ben Roethlisberger, you're gonna get eaten alive. You will. Even to Phillip Rivers with the Colts, you saw him. We won that game, but Phillip Rivers was doing whatever he wanted, and that's what good quarterbacks are going to do to this team. And it's a glaring weakness. It's a problem. So that's the only reason why I think that the Browns don't have exactly the level as some other people, because we're just not a complete team. We're not a complete defense. So yeah, I'll end that on that particular note.
As we shift over to the ugly, that's the bad again. Let's go to the ugly. No, maybe not the ugly. Let's try this. Let's go to the video tape. The
Littering.
Ugly.
Littering and...
Wait, I didn't even fix your mic on this one, and I hear you on this one. Why does this
littering
one
and... Oh, you're there. I get to come up?
Yeah. No, I don't get but I was going to say, as
I like it when things are not consistent at all. Not consistent at all, Kevin. It makes it much easier to figure out.
Yeah, it makes troubleshooting a breeze. Pastor Sean says our defense is our pass rush. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's the truth, and that's why I put the defensive line on it. We have a great defensive line, and we have good linebackers. We have adequate linebackers. We have people who can make plays in that linebacking core. It's just behind them is atrocious, and that's why they're still in the ugly. They're just going to stay there all year.
I will never get tired of having this picture in there because the look on his face sums him up completely.
No, it absolutely says it all. And again, I talked about the calls from the refs, the no calls from the refs on Miles, because it's inexcusable to see it. I was texting multiple people. I had some buddies of mine. I had Pastor Sean. I was texting my uncle. All of us are like, can somebody throw a flag on this? Because it is absolutely ridiculous to keep seeing. It's so blatant. It's cartoonishly blatant what they were doing, and nobody's calling it. And it's like, oh, you're just gonna let them keep doing this. And that so be it. I don't know how you combat that. You can't have the refs in practice and make them get better. So it's one of those things that the Browns are just going to have to deal with. They're going to have to persevere, and it is what it is. I don't know how you get past it.
Right. And I think that part of it is when you're a player of his caliber, you're used to it, and they still can't stop you on every play anyway. And I think that's what you have to be like, listen, they're going to hold me. Sometimes it'll get called. Sometimes it won't. I'm going to go out there and get mine anyway.
Yeah, and then he did. I mean, even after, I know he was pissed that he gave up the sack lead to Aaron Donald. So he went out there to try to get it back. I don't know what Donald did. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't know who's where. But that's another thing I do expect to see from Miles finishing out this year here is for him to finish really, really strong, and probably with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, because I know he was pissed about missing those games there and not performing at not getting to perform at the level that he was at. So again, that's going to be the biggest key for the Browns. If the Browns can get consistent pressure on a quarterback, sure, we can do some damage, and that's what I look forward to. But nonetheless, this has been a hell of a ride. This is fun. This is great to see. We're getting to a point, like I said, to open things up. This has been historic for us. The Browns have a real chance to get it. It's not just an improvement that we're seeing. Now we're like, oh, we might have the best record this franchise has ever seen. We might make one of the best playoff runs this franchise has ever seen, and it would be great to see that. It's exciting. It's so different from the misery and the awfulness that this team has consistently put us through every single year. It's fun, Kevin. This is fun. I know how you feel now because your boys won again. I'm going to tip my cap to the Packers. The Pack got it done. Aaron Rodgers got his. Aaron Rodgers got his four. I text you. He got his 400th touchdown pass. I text you. I was like, hey, Baker Mayfield's only 330 behind him. No big deal. He's almost there. So yeah, which it's good. It's fun. It's fun. That's all I'm going to say. This is fun. It's good to be. It's good to be alive. It's good to be excited about your football team, especially this late in the year, because December is usually the time of year where we've all just quit watching.
Just given up.
We know that there's no sense in we don't even know that our team plays in December in Cleveland. So,
I think they do. I'm pretty sure.
I think they do.
Anything else? Look at the roster and check, but. I think
we. Do you have any questions or any? I kind of went off on a rant there, and then we got some disconnection notices, and the electric went off there for a minute, and.
Pastor Sean and I were going back and forth on one point. Neither of us are quite sure of the answer. Can you read?
Yeah. Why?
Are you sure? Are you actually able to read?
Yeah. Why?
Okay. No, we were just curious. We weren't certain, so we were just
What did I settle that? Why? What did I read wrong?
You didn't read anything wrong. You don't read the Twitter during the show. You don't read the chat during the show.
No, I
can't. You gotta hire people to do that for you. I have five screens in front of me over here.
I don't have. Listen, man. I have to. I'm Kevin. I'm talent. Okay, I'm the talent. I have all the pressure.
Oh gosh, it seems like we lost your mic again. I certainly hope I didn't hit the mute button completely on purpose.
Oh, how okay.
Sean is also asking what you miss food-wise from Cleveland.
What do I miss food-wise? That's an easy one. That is, this is a no-brainer for me.
Okay.
I'm going to offer two things. Okay. Number one, I'm 1A and 1B. 1A, without question, is Antonio's Pizza. My God, I would kill.
You went off about this place the other day, like completely unrelated. You went off on this place to me the other day, and and just the Cleveland pizza scene in general.
Yes, Antonio's Pizza. It's probably going to be the first thing that I do when I get back into Cleveland is I'm going to Antonio's Pizza and I'm going to throw down like I've been starving my entire life. And then 1B is Mr. Hero. I miss Mr. Hero. It's not. It's just because I can't have it. It's not like it's the most amazing burger in the world or anything. But I mean, I Mr. Hero. So Antonio's and Mr. Hero. Those are my two big ones. Yeah, that's it. I gotta have it. Now, why would you do that to me, Pastor Sean? Now you got me thinking about things that I can't have right now, and that's really upsetting. That was mean of you to do. You are a bad person.
I think he was just curious about your culinary preferences. I think it was a very nice question.
I want to go home. I want some pizza. All right, Kevin. Anything else? Anything else as we wrap this thing up?
He says, "Mr. Hero, it's the taste you crave," which I'm assuming is the tagline of.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
No, I think I'm scrolling back through to make sure I didn't miss anything earlier. Yeah, I think that's the bulk of it. We covered our good, bad, and ugly. We saw that you've improved your record, by the way, to 10-2.
Oh, yeah, 10-2.
So we need your pick for next week now.
Oh, okay. That's I'm clearly taking the Browns in this one. I would have been worried a little bit about it. I think that like I mentioned earlier, and like we talked about, these are two football teams going in completely different directions right now. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to be back for this game. He's been cleared, but keep in mind too here that Baltimore is still reeling from COVID, the outbreak that they had. There were
the weird scheduling nonsense.
Yeah, it's been, and listen, I mean, I feel bad for him, but no, I don't, because I don't care, because I hate that team. I hate Baltimore. I will never, ever feel bad for them. I hope that they all get COVID again. I don't want to see anybody die or anything, but I hope their whole team gets ravaged and they have to forfeit the rest of their games. I don't care. I don't care about Baltimore. So the fact that they're down, good, let's go kick them. Let's bring them into our house and we can kick the shit out of them while they're down. And I'll enjoy every single second of it. I will laugh maniacally like a evil genius. I don't care.
But maybe don't.
No, I will. I will. Absolutely. Yeah. They don't have, I just don't think that they have all of their parts. They don't have everything. Their swagger is completely gone. They're not the same team, and they're kind of all over the place. And I think that the Browns just have and the Browns have revenge on their mind too. That's the other part too. They didn't just beat us. They kicked our ass. They embarrassed us.
Yeah.
They pantsed us in front of, the country. And that's how we opened up our season. So we have that. We want a little bit of payback. Plus, it's a division win or a division game. We're at home. We've been playing phenomenally all year at home this year. So it's important to get that division win, to get a home win, and the revenge factor. I'm easily taking the Browns in this one. Score wise, I think we're gonna go for the throwdown on them again. I really do. So I think that the Browns are gonna go over 40 on this one again. I'm gonna say Browns 45. Ravens 23. A beating. I see a beating.
23. Huh.
23.
Interesting.
That's where I'm at.
Are you getting a new defense between now and then, or?
Some things are going to happen. I'm going to turn the turnover machine on. That's what I got. Okay. I'm going to make some phone calls, and I'm going to get the turnover machine fired up. So
I'll let you borrow my cricket bat.
Yeah, do that. Well, I'll take that to Cleveland. That's how I'm going to get my pizza for free.
I see what you're thinking.
Yeah, right there.
I see what you're thinking.
That's it. All right, then, boys and girls. That's all I got, Kevin. Anything else? Any parting shots for the crowd? Don't forget to check all the things down there, the social media things. Oh, my finger's disappearing. It's a translucent finger.
You're terrible at this. Social media. Jessica has been tweeting up a storm again today.
I will check the feed. after the show.
I mean, you've got a phone. You can just put it on your phone right in front of your face, and then you can read it. It's what I do.
I could, but then I got to concentrate on things. I'm trying to entertain people. I'm trying to give information.
A laptop with the YouTube feed, and I'm punching buttons directing the show over here. Like,
listen.
What do you got? What do you got?
Okay, I got my phone.
Besides your,
I got a freaking tablet over here. I got stuff. I'm doing too. I
couldn't help but notice there's actually nothing on your tablet though.
I just turned it off.
Oh, okay.
Because I had the box score on there. I had Baker Mayfield stats from ProFootballReference.com on my phone. That's how I knew. Baker Mayfield's gone 11-1 on touchdown to interception ratio, 64%. What do you think I'm doing here, man? I'm using my tools.
I just don't care.
All right, boys and girls. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week when the Browns win another game.